Okay, so the species I chose for the Los Angeles River Project was the southern alligator lizard. Scientific name is Alligator multicarinata. So this is my species that you can see in the picture. They are in their natural habitat. The natural habitat of my species, they like to live under rocks, under logs, in logs, wooden boards, tall grass, anything that's nature. I would like to point out that in the picture you can see that my species he looks a bit angry. That's because when he gets angry he does attack. He'll attack humans or any animals. I thought that was a cool fact about it. So on the next slide you'll see the habitat preferability of my animal. So for my species, as I said, they like to live under things, so they were more common in the soft bottom areas versus the concrete areas of the river, because in the soft bottom areas there's more nature, there's more land, there's places for them to hide or to live under. And then in the concrete, they don't really like concrete too much because there's nowhere for them to go under. So that's why, as you can see in the picture of the graph, there in the soft bottom locations there was much more spottings of my creature on iNaturalist versus the channelized. Channelized had 0 when I searched it up on iNaturalist. On the next slide you will see the conservation concern and fun facts. So the conservation concern of my animal was that they are actually of least concern globally, and locally they're not of any concern. They're actually secure, so that's good. They're not in any danger. The lizards can lose their tails and grow them back as kind of a defense mechanism. So as you can see in the picture, they are missing a part of their tail. That's because when creatures like their natural predators, such as like snakes, coyotes, bobcats, hawks, those type of species, they like to eat them. So in order for them to get away, they'll actually just let their tail go when they bite it off, and they'll actually grow their tail back after. And on the next slide, you'll see the restoration acts that I chose. So for the restoration acts that I chose to plant more native trees to increase tree canopy. I thought this would be positive impact for my creature because they benefit by eating more animals. So the animals they like to feed on are small arthropods such as slugs, lizard, small animals, and occasionally young birds and eggs. So after planting trees, it'll increase the diversity of the area, so there'll be more animals and birds for them to eat. So when there's an increase in the food, there'll be an increase of the population of my species. Also, females choose to lay, the females of my animal, they choose to lay eggs in wood. So if there's more wood, like trees, when they have bark and trunks, it'll be beneficial for the reproduction of my species. And the second restoration act I chose was creating pocket parks along the riverbanks. I think it'll be beneficial to my species because during mating season, the male searches out for a female. So if there were larger patches of habitat, then it would be easier for the male to find a female, and there would be more reproduction. During mating season, it only lasts about a week once they find their mate, and that actually corresponds with temperature. So if the temperature is not correct, then they won't be able to mate. I think because they have such little time to find their mate, it makes it harder for them to produce. So if they can find a mate quicker, it would be easier for them to reproduce. And I think it would be beneficial as well because these animals like to live under objects. So when there's more land and more places for them to be under, I think the species will be more prone to being in this area and going through those areas because that's their habitat preferability. And on the next slide, you'll see a fun facts page. So for my fun facts, I actually have a funny one. As you can see in the picture, there's 2 animals eating one of the lizards. So during mating season, the male actually acts as though they're eating the female, and they can do this for up to 48 hours, no matter what area they're in. As you can see, they're actually in a concrete area. And like I said before, they don't really prefer concrete areas, but if they find their mate in a concrete area, they are snatching her up and they're not going to let go. And they do this to show their dominance for at least 24 hours to 48 hours. They actually live for 10 to 15 years. And when babies are born, they actually are born with their patterns. So they don't actually change at all. They're born with their patterns. Same as humans, we're born with our skin doesn't change. So I thought that was interesting. And on the next slide, you will see my citations. And that's the end. Thank you.